I'm going against Ajax.
There's so much Ajax right now.
So much on the line for these two, and you can see them both ready here. We're about to get into our first round of 32 matchup. It is, of course, Ajax Tore taking on xLevVinken, the man who loves Ajax more than anything else. But I'm sure if he was asked right now if he could book a ticket, that would be up there to the eChampions League final with things that he has a massive love for. You can see we're underway right now. These are knockout games right now. No more time for mistakes for any of these players. It's do or die.
xLevVinken will be shooting from left to right in that red, and then Ajax Tore will be playing in the Ajax kit. Of course, xLevVinken did represent Ajax as well. I'm sure they both had a little fight and a squabble over who could have the home kit, but I think Ajax Tore, he gets first dibs.
It's going to be Tore who manages to pinch possession here off of xLevVinken. He manages to win it back there. Slightly sloppy play down that left-hand side. Now Ruud can take his time in the build-up. You can see both players here, Dan, using that 4-2-3-1, which we're so accustomed to now at this stage of FIFA 19.
What's impressed me, though, so far in this tournament for xLevVinken, we haven't seen as much of him today, maybe, as we did yesterday. However, it's been his goal-scoring ability this tournament. The fact that he started off in the Swiss with a 9-0 victory over Hedgeguard, like, that is something that he's not usually been showing. He hasn't been showing the ability to just press on and score incredible amounts of goals against other people. Instead, he's been grinding out close victories. But now he looks like a dominant force in this competition.
Well, Lev is coming forward right now. Little fake shot here from Cristiano Ronaldo. Slightly heavy touch, and the heel-to-heel leaves Marcelo in the dust for just a second. The great powers of recovery there from the Brazilian left-back. Just as Ronaldo was looking to burst inside the box. And I feel like this is going to be quite a tactical affair, this one, Dan, between these two players. I wouldn't say either of them are flair players, for example, like we talk about with the likes of Maestro Tex. They're kind of players who just get the job done when it matters.
They're both very intelligent players. They know when they need to be holding on to the ball and when they need to be pressing their opponents, that's for sure.
Well, here's Tore then. And Ronaldo loses out, this time at the other end of the pitch to Marcelo. History repeating itself at opposite ends of the pitch here.
Something Tore was doing very well at the E-Nations most recently was finding results against big players, though. He's never intimidated by the situation. He's never intimidated by a name.
Virgil van Dijk can't be too intimidated here by Cristiano Ronaldo, who's dropped in the box.
Referee.
But the good thing here, I like it from Lev, no reaction from him. Not getting carried away with the situation, because that looked like, to me and to my eyes, maybe a decision that had to be made.
Certainly something that he would have been concerned about when he saw that challenge initially get made. But at least no penalty given. And no deep breaths for Ajax Tore just yet.
Here is Tore then, spreading the play across to Marcelo, the player who came under scrutiny from both Dan and myself after that little incident with Cristiano Ronaldo, and now he's going forward down the left-hand side, tries to drive that ball.
لو دور 16 يا جماعة دي دور ال 32.
Counter-attack here, Dan. Players flowing forward here for Lev, but unfortunately just misplaced that pass at the wrong time.
Sometimes you have to be careful and not get too excited when you do have possession, when you start to kind of think about that glory, think about those future games, think about that possibility of getting to the Champions League. Sometimes you make hasty passes, you make risky passes, and yeah, it can pay off. And it all comes down to how you are as a player. Are you a player who likes to take those risks? Are you a player that does enjoy your back being against the wall? Various different players in this tournament.
They look pretty close to going out, that ball there, but at the El Tornado towards the back post will be dealt with here momentarily, at least by David De Gea. Pressure coming in here from Ajax's Tore. The shot from distance finds the back of the net. And it's the Brazilian who strikes first in our round of 32.
And sometimes you do just have to let rip as well. When you get that sight on goal, we've seen so many times this tournament, players just passing it around, looking for that next pass. Can I get the clean-cut opportunity that everyone's so desperately searching for? Can appreciate just when you have the shot on goal, just taking it and using it to your advantage.
It's just hit on the little half volley there by Neymar. Ball nestled in the back of the net. It wasn't that far away from David De Gea, to be honest with you, Dan. It wasn't like that was right in the top corner, sort of the postage stamp. It's fairly savable to me, I have to say.
It just reminds me of Man United versus Man City the other day. David De Gea probably should have made more saves there as well. Of course, one of the best goalkeepers in the world, but in real life hasn't seen great form, and in recent tournaments of FIFA as well, we've seen some players question David De Gea in between the sticks. Seen Courtois come in, Van der Sar being used as well. Even Peter Schmeichel we saw being used yesterday by F2 Techs. And it does come down to whether that goalkeeper has performed for you in games, and it can just be a situation where you just got to believe in your goalkeeper.
Here's Tore coming forward once more. Neymar. Hullet finding the ball outside here to Mbappe. The scoop turn is going to buy some space for him. Vieira has to make a
شكل توري هو اللي هيكسب البطولة دي الراوند دي.
You can see how xLevVinken desperately searching for these balls down the right and the left-hand channels. But as soon as he sees Ajax Tore making and cutting out those runs, he brings the ball back into the midfield and makes sure then he starts to put the ball through the middle and try and go a little bit more direct. And I don't think that's exactly how he wants to play a game of FIFA. He wants to spread the width, he wants to get out wide. But Tore is making sure that he stops that.
Here comes Lev then. Approaching that half-time whistle here. Just the one goal to report so far. That strike from distance from Neymar. Oh, no, goes for the shot in towards the near post. Good goalkeeper movement there from Tore. Maybe that was something that Lev was missing from that opportunity that created the goal from the shot from Neymar. Lev wins the ball back though. Accelerated fake shot around the corner of his man. Hullet gets the ball into the air. Oh, nice challenging Hullet.
هذه مرتدة بعتها لفوق يفتح اللي تحت ناخدها.
Look at this run from deep. This left-hand side from R9 not going to be found. Well defended there by xLevVinken.
Defense is going to be key in this matchup. I think both players are trying a very similar style of attack, but they both sussed each other out very early on. So now you've got to come up with a few surprises, have something up your sleeves. I know it's very difficult at this stage in the FIFA 19 season when you've played so much FIFA.
It isn't a video.
So much FIFA, it's difficult to be creative and come up with something new and surprising. You just have to go against maybe your natural style of attack, and that will be just a minor surprise to your opponent.
Ooh, Vieira with a heavy touch there, just gave the ball away. As the referee puts the
if you don't like it, click dislike.
You can see the two Ajax badges there. There's only one man with it on his chest though, and that man, Ajax Tore, is the man who takes that one goal advantage into the break.
And we knew from the get-go it was going to be a match like this, very evenly contested in terms of possession and very little shots to shout about from both of them. I think defensively they've covered every single avenue. They've been cutting off those passing lanes. They've been chasing any sort of over-the-top through ball potential abilities. And that shows in the statistics, that shows in the opportunities that haven't been created by either player.
Back underway then. Reminder, if you're just joining us as well, we're into the knockout rounds now. The Swiss group's done and dusted. Now it's just a case of two more knockout games of FIFA for these guys to book themselves a place in that final 8 to the eChampions League final.
And I guess Tore would have been quite happy to miss the 4-0 players. Tore, who went 4-3 in the Swiss. He faces xLevVinken, who went 4-1. Only 4 players went 4-0, so of course only 4 4-3 players could have been facing them as well. So arguably he's ended up with an easier matchup because of how he performed, but you've also got to look at the fact that how well xLevVinken has performed throughout this season. It's definitely, I think at this stage, no match is an easy matchup, but you'd just be glad not to be facing the likes of Tex and Dasari in this round.
ابعد فوق يا ابني يا حبيبي رجعها ما تعملش حاجة رجعها قلت لك رجعها ذكي جدا أنا عامل كأنه هو سامعني أصلا غيرت الوجبة دي واضحة هبعتها للنبي رجعها وصلت
Mbappe now tries to find the return ball here for Lev to the run of Ruud Hullet, but it's going to be Rafael Varane on the right-hand side now with lots of space to move into. And that's a great tackle there from Paolo Maldini, and Lev can come forward once more.
But both players just getting stuck and congested in this midfield, and that's what happens when you're playing against 4-2-3-1 formations. Those two central defensive midfielders, they do so much work, and they're so difficult for the CAMs to get through. Maybe it will need to be a formational change for xLevVinken if things don't get better anytime soon.
Here's Tore then, maybe with a chance to nip this ball into the box. Doesn't get it in, but Sergio Ramos will win the header. Interesting to see as well. I noticed that Lev has Tom Stokes behind him, obviously a professional player himself, and someone who was I'm an exponent of putting Ruud Gullit
Oh,
back in tournament play to that left-back position, and I'm seeing that here for LevVinken as well.
Yeah, something that a lot of players are starting to realise, that if your opponent is quite prone to going for those crosses to the back post, Gullit can be very good at left-back, and Tom Stokes is another player who has also performed very well against the top players in the FIFA community in recent tournaments. Did very well against Tex, for example, so maybe he'll be whispering in the ear.
Here's LevVinken then, R9 on the ball. Ball back here to Mbappe, has to be careful in the tackle here, Ajax Tore, and he does so. Ronaldo wins the header though.
مدفوع ايوه صح
Body part selected there by Marcelo to get that pass away. But he's given the ball away here, Tore. And Neymar's looking for the ball behind Maldini, because R9 was waiting like a predator in behind to finish off that chance should it fall his way. R9, beautiful little hill to hill, gets the shot away. And again, De Gea
ما شاء الله كلهم بيعملوا تحريك حارس ايه خرافي خرافي.
67 minutes on the clock, Dan. LevVinken really starting to knock at the door here.
He's knocking at the door because Tore's giving him a chance to knock at the door. It is an open invitation. He's invited him to the party, but he's not letting him in just yet. He needs to be careful. I'd like to see him use the weight a little bit more, because he keeps giving the ball away right in the centre of midfield. Because LevVinken has it jammed back with red shirts.
وفاتح فوق خالص.
Whereas if Tore is a little bit more patient with his attack, he should see space naturally open up more.
A ball from Vieira is going to create
لو كانت عدت دي كانت هدف
محقق.
محقق.
And you saw the attempted pass just being cut out at the last second there. Cristiano Ronaldo was waiting for the opportunity to pull the trigger. Well, it will win that. Now LevVinken can come forward once more. Neymar on the ball. The Brazilian's going to find a wonderful return pass here to Kylian
يلا
Mbappe.
خلص يا عم.
Massive chance here for
يا
Lev.
لهوي جابها في
Take
نفسه.
it, but it doesn't
ابن
matter.
المحظوظة.
Because sometimes you play with 11, and sometimes it seems like you're playing with 12, because Virgil van Dijk is going to put it in the back of his own net, and now it's 1-1.
هو ده تيم اوف ذا سيزون فان دايك ويجيب جول في نفسه.
Not done any favours in that situation, but you saw how LevVinken was waiting and waiting for that goalkeeper movement, saying, are you going to go left? Are you going to commit to that side? Are you going to drag yourself back towards right? He waited so long, almost gets the wrong way in the end. The keeper movement was good, provided that little touch onto the bar. And then Van Dijk just lets... it's quite saddening,
I love
really,
how in the build-up for that as well, LevVinken was waiting for the goalkeeper movement. Didn't really see too much. I was like, I'm just going to smash it. I'm going to smash it wherever it ends up. It's fantastic, and luckily for him, it ended up coming off the chest of Virgil van Dijk there and ricocheting back into the back of the net. But as they always say, it doesn't matter how they go in, as long as you find a way to score. And now we are tied up at 1-1 between these two, and we're back underway once more.
It is also the benefit of sometimes
والله
smashing it,
مساعد مش
sometimes hitting it
عارفين
hard,
هو
because
كل ده
the ball is
مستنيين
going to
نتفرج
rebound, it is going to
عليه.
bounce into
الدور
different
ال
situations.
32 هو بدأ وعرضوا المباراة دي ما عرضوش مباراة مساعد.
Tapped the bar, and then the keeper probably would have been
هو
able to
المفروض
bundle himself over it.
مساعد بيلاعب الولد الكولومبي ده اللي هو
Went in the
اسمه
back of the net. That is all he's going to care about.
جوكسون.
He's going to put that one out of his mind as quickly as possible here. Modric is going to intercept and gets a pass away here to win the ball back for LevVinken.
ان مساعد كان ترتيبه الرابع، فهيلاعب اللي هو كان ترتيبه
See the run.
29 او 29.
Tore have to engage his players switching to make sure that he's got that run covered. Just going to leave space to attack here for Vieira. Vieira to Ronaldo, quick pass in here, Pele out to Modric, 99 rated! And that's safe
ثم
from
يعرضوا
David
كذا
De Gea.
مباراة من دور ال 16
That's
اللي هو الدور
100
الجاي.
out of 100. Corner here for Lev. Pele back onto that right foot again.
لا دي قافلة في وشك خالص.
The Tore's hanging on a little bit here, Dan.
Yeah, LevVinken really coming to life now. Can he win the header? No, he can't. De Gea comes to the rescue yet again. Questions were made earlier, but he certainly proved his slot in the team now. 7 minutes left in this game, about to tick over to 6, and Tore, even though he had such a fantastic start, has really struggled to get past the defence of Lev in this second half. And to be honest, I think he's played into the tactics of LevVinken. LevVinken has put Gullit at that left-back position, but Tore's been still trying over the top through balls to the right-hand side, and Gullit's just there nodding them away every single time. If you see someone putting that player in that position, don't play into it. Play the ball along the ground, try and play some maybe through balls along the ground, because even though Gullit's a fantastic foot item, he's not as quick as Marcelo at left back. So you can take advantage of that with the likes of Mbappe or Neymar if they're on the right-hand side.
Sometimes you look at these substitution screens, you look at the tactical screens down, and you almost see a story write itself. Ajax Tore has just brought on Johan Cruyff in that central attacking midfield position. Now, for LevVinken to concede a goal, to potentially knock himself out of a tournament, to the Ajax legend, the man that they named the stadium after. I don't want to plant that seed, but I'm going to be honest, I've just done it.
You've already planted it. You literally dug the hole, you planted it, you patted it down, you've watered it.
I've been looking after it for 6 to 8 months.
It's growing at this point. But whether it's going to happen, whether it is going to actually blossom, will remain to be seen. Still tied up 1-1 in this first leg. Still 90 minutes to play. We often see in FIFA 19 the first leg very closely contested. Very difficult sometimes to separate two incredible FIFA players. It's going to be the second leg where it's really going to come to life, where one goal could shake everything up.
Here's Maldini on the ball. Spreading the ball wide here. LevVinken will have the last opportunity to build an attack here. Tore might be able to steal the ball away and go on the counter-attack, but he's not going to have time to get the ball forward here at the end of the first leg. There's nothing to split these two. A little bit of fortune favouring both players in the goals, but it's 1-1 down. I want to say, like, Ajax is on the edge right now, but I just remember that, you know, you've got a massive Ajax fan and one of them's got it on the... I'm just going to stop here. I'm going to stop here.
Either way, in the round of 16,
Ajax win, Ajax lose.
Someone who loves Ajax is going to be in the round of 16. You say fortune has favoured them, but I think when you get two players of this evenly contested, who are struggling to keep possession against one another, who are struggling to get into the areas they're used to getting into when attacking, you are sometimes going to have to take those risks and just hit it hard and hope that it does get a lucky deflection, because that can happen, and you've got to take advantage of it when it does.
I think the player who's going to be happier with that first leg, though, to be honest with you, is going to be Tore. Is going to be LevVinken, I believe, because Tore's playing a very deep game. He's playing that counter-attacking, you know, FIFA style, where he's trying to absorb pressure from LevVinken and give him possession, then hit him on the break. But LevVinken, he's controlling the pace of the game, I think, a little bit here. And the only real opportunities that have come to Tore are little mistakes that are coming in from LevVinken. And if you're playing a game of FIFA and you know that the only way that you're going to be beaten, or you feel the only way you're going to be beaten, is by making a mistake, then it becomes a concentration game. Then it becomes a mental game.
I'd like to think that even though LevVinken has had the better run as we got to the latter stages of that first leg, I think Tore will be looking at this bracket and looking at the fact that LevVinken is the big hitter in this particular side of the bracket. What happens now with this tournament and the fact that 8 players are going to be qualifying for that final, we can kind of separate this bracket up into various different ones. LevVinken is the highest seed in this little mini bracket to try and qualify to the Champions League final, the eChampions League final, and actually get a ticket to the Champions League final. So if Tore can be drawing with him at this point, he can be going toe-to-toe with him, he can actually start to believe in himself now, say, hey, if he's the big hitter, if I'm 1-1 with him, I'm only one leg away from potentially knocking out and upsetting the favourite in this little mini bracket. Suddenly then I'm the favourite for the Champions League.
I think it's a great point that you make there, and I think the way that the bracket has turned out certainly favours both of these players. So obviously they've got it all to do here, and this is a vital 90 minutes of FIFA 19 for both of these players here to book themselves a chance to get into the round of 16, and of course give themselves a shot of picking up one of those golden tickets to Madrid and the Champions League final, and a chance, most importantly, of picking up that eChampions League trophy, which we keep looking at, Dan, sort of lingering, longingly looking at it, wishing that we had the opportunity to pick it up. I'm not going to lie, I've picked it up a couple of times. It's heavy. It's a big old thing.
You have a funny thing with picking up trophies, Mark, but yeah, I haven't tried to lift it because I can't lift much. So I'm just going to stay far away and just hope that one day in my dreams I might lift that trophy.
You've got it.
But it's something that none of these players will be thinking about. They won't be thinking about lifting that trophy just yet, because you won't have that opportunity unless you get to the final 8, unless you qualify for the finals.
We're back underway here. And it'll be Tore who starts things off in the second leg. Trying to fire the ball down the line immediately to the wide player. But speaking of wide players, here's Neymar. And he's got tons of space here for LevVinken. Tries to find the run of R9. He's going to power past his man. Back to Neymar here. Big chance. But again, Tore, his goalkeeper movement has been superb so far in this game.
And just while we've got a pause of play, I'm just going to update you on a result elsewhere, or a current game going on elsewhere. Joksan currently leading MS Dasari 4-2.
Wow.
On set. So we talk about these mini brackets and who's the big hitter. I mean, not only is Dasari the big hitter in that mini bracket, but just in the whole tournament, Dasari has been looked at as one of the potential winners of the entire thing, let alone someone just getting into the top 8.
Have to remind ourselves, though, that is just the first leg. 90 minutes to go. We know how much work gets done for some of the best players in the world in that second leg, and Dasari One of the best at adapting his game. But for Joksan, what a result that would be. All through towards goal here, and Mbappe might not get there. I think that De Gea will just about beat him to the ball, but that was nip and tuck between the goalkeeper and the Frenchman. Tore was looking to burst through on goal there with that long through ball, but now it's going to be XLevVinken again, building from the back. You can see how narrow the formation is here as well from Tore, really trying to force XLevVinken out wide, keeping these central areas free, but it doesn't matter because XLevVinken has found a way through the defences here. Kylian Mbappe gets it onto his right foot and finally manages to beat David De Gea.
That's the thing, XLevVinken's just so stubborn. I mean, he can witness that there's such a congestion in the midfield and all of his passes, they're being snuffed out, but he's saying, look, I want to play FIFA how I like playing FIFA. I'm going to play the balls into these dangerous areas because eventually one of these passes is going to come off. It pays off, and now he's gained the lead in this round of 32 matchup.
And what a huge goal that could be for XLevVinken. And now the pressure goes back onto Tore. He hasn't produced too much offensively in this game so far. But we know at this level you only need to produce one chance. David De Gea produces a fantastic save to keep him in this game. Mbappe, via a little deflection, managed to find the ball to Neymar. Hull it now with the cricketer. Tore looking to get back into this, but De Gea will gleefully grab this ball as it breaks free in the 18-yard box. So almost striking straight back there, the Ajax man.
And just to update you, Mark, and everyone watching at home, just some other results elsewhere from that first leg. Nicholas and Marcuso tied up 1-1. Tex and Diego also tied up 3-3. So all of the big seeds, all of the big hitters, struggling a little bit in that first leg.
And that's going to send waves of confidence through all of the other players in this round of 32 bracket. No one is invincible here at the eChampions League. Everyone raising their game, knowing how much is on the line, knowing that there's only one of these tournaments a year, and also knowing it's one of the only tournaments with the prize that we have on the line. Here's XLevVinken once more then. Ronaldo on iron, battling here with Maldini. Maldini gets a piece of his shirt and pulls him back, but the referee lets it go. And you can see the pause coming in here for Tore. I don't think he's too happy with the flow of this game and the way things are turning out at the moment.
Just to go back to your point about the prize being on the line and how much it adds in terms of pressure, I mean, there's been a lot of different things throughout this season that has added pressure, representing a club, representing your nation. However, it's that dream opportunity, that once-in-a-lifetime prize of going to that Champions League final. I know Rachel has been bragging about the fact that she's been to one before, and not any of us have. But some of these players will never get the opportunity to go to a game like that because either they're not from the right region, or maybe the Champions League final wouldn't be anywhere close enough, they wouldn't have the money to pay for it. They have the chance to not only earn money for future ones, also get a ticket.
Speaking of chances, Mbappe has just been dropped inside the box. XLevVinken is furious at the referee. That looked like a stonewall penalty to me. Tore's got away with one there, and oh, this would be a dagger to the heart here if he finds an equaliser. Neymar's inside the box. It's the Rabona cross. And what an acrobatic clearance that was from Sergio Ramos.
I mean, we talk about mascot moments of the match, but that was definitely a life-saving over-the-head kick from Sergio Ramos. You don't see it very often.
I think that might be the MasterCard moment of the match, if that's the scoreline that this game ends up at. We always laud attacking flair and attacking prowess, but sometimes it's just getting it done at the back. Here comes Lev again, cricketer. Into Ramos, the man who's probably feeling full of confidence having just made that clearance. Modric tried to sneak the ball in, and now you're seeing more players up the pitch here for Tore.
Maybe we finally found the answer to those back post headers as well. You just
need
to put Sergio Ramos and set him to his overhead kick attribute. It does actually exist, I can confirm. But now a pause to come out, again, just to take a look at these tactics and maybe switch things up a little bit, just to try and either secure a little bit more possession. If you're on the side of XLevVinken, you'll be wanting to control the ball. But for Tore, he's probably not feeling like he's creating enough chances to get back into the game. Because the longer this goes on, the more confident XLevVinken is going to get.
And he takes one chance, though. We've seen it so many times at this tournament. One chance is all you need, and then we go to extra time. But I am liking this from Tore, recognising the situation and also making these changes with enough time left in the game, Dan, for them to be effective, to have a real impact on how this result turns out.
A lot of players would wait until, I don't know, the 60th minute, 70th minute to start making changes, but I think it's important to make them as soon as possible. If you notice that everything's not going your way, if the flow just isn't right, get those changes done.
Vieira will win that ball uncontested in the middle of the box there. XLevVinken showing that he's happy to get that ball up in the air and find a cross if he has to.
يا حبيبي انت اللي خسران، انت هتقعد تبني.
10 minutes to go before half time. Beautiful switch of the play there from the Ajax man, but XLevVinken's defending has been very, very solid so far, and now he's looking to expose Raphael Varane with Kylian Mbappe just storming past his man. Mbappe into R9 has to be.
الله يا ابني ايه ده؟ ايه ده؟
Absolutely phenomenal just until the finish. The goalkeeper movement was just too good from.
استنى يهبل شوية برضه يعني كان شاطها في البعيدة.
But XLevVinken really starting to show up now. Defensively is looking fantastic. He's really reading towards game. He's predicting every single pass.
هيرجع.
We see it so many times. Chances not being taken at one end in such a tight game.
غير الوينج هناك. غيره هناك.
One chance for Tore.
يا عم غير الوينج هناك.
We're all tied up. Great defended again though from Lev.
First half coming to a close. Maybe XLevVinken will wait for that final attack as Sergio Ramos starts to steam up the field. He's not the best player going forward, but he does have a stride on him once he gets going. A decent challenge from Marcelo to stop any sort of final attack from XLevVinken, which is now going to present Tore with that final opportunity. But boy, does he need something to give him a little bit of a lift, because he hasn't really found much in this second leg.
And Neymar's managed to get behind his man here.
لا 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 تأخر فيها جامد.
Neymar almost managed to pick up the pieces there. There is the half-time whistle. One goal the difference here, Dan.
I think the half-time whistle is going to be maybe better for Tore coming, because XLevVinken was just free-flowing. He was going forward. He was looking like he was going to score a third, a fourth. But the thing that Tore can actually focus on is the fact that that goal wasn't scored. He is still only a goal behind. I would just like to see him try something a bit more creative. He's constantly trying these over-the-top through balls that are not working. They're being headed away. When you've got players like Varane, Ramos and Hullet in the defensive line, over-the-top through balls are not going to work very often.
And it's another thing I might have noticed here towards the end of that game. I don't know if it was just one of those random cases where Sergio Ramos finds himself out of position and Patrick Vieira comes in to fill, but I'd like to keep an eye on that right-back position. It's actually see if Patrick Vieira has been moved there. It doesn't look like he has actually. It is Sergio Ramos there, but I wonder if that was another little bit of impact.
هلا يعرف يتعادل؟ أتوقع بالنسبة له ممكن يتعادل بسهولة بس.
As far as personnel are concerned, for XLevVinken, something needs to change here for Tore, because things really aren't going his way, and that chance of making that final 8 of the first ever eChampions League starting to slip through his fingers here.
Well, XLevVinken being one of the only players of high seed or who had performed well in the Swiss, who's actually leading at the moment. Another game going on elsewhere. Maestro currently losing 3-2 in the second leg to Hedgegaard. So another one of our top players, our 4-0 players through Swiss. At the moment, if it stayed like this, he's going to be eliminated from the competition.
والله هو مساعد تأهل للدور ال 32 والمفروض ان هو بيلعب دلوقتي، بس احنا مش عارفين هو عامل ايه.
Try our best to keep you up to date with everything that's happening from all of the games in the round of 32. Back to our main focus of the round of 32 right now. It's the Ajax battle.
يا حبيبي اللي انت بتعمله ده.
XLevVinken manages to hold on once more.
وفتح لك فوق اهو.
At least we're seeing Tore playing that ball on the floor a little bit more. He's stopping the over-the-top through balls. They weren't working earlier.
Oh, that's a beautiful little kill here.
لا بتهرب.
Van Dijk steps in.
And you know
that if Tore
can get into one of these positions, he can get that clear-cut opportunity. Suddenly he's back into the game. Suddenly he'll find that momentum that we've seen from him all season. But he's got to be very careful in his own box, because XLevVinken, when he's in that final third, when he's got that close dribbling, he looks absolutely deadly. And without good goalkeeper movement, this game could be 3-4-1 at this point.
100% agree with you. But it is just one goal.
لا أنا الشهر ده ما عنديش شغل. الشهر ده ما عنديش شغل.
Coming forward once more now. Modric with the switch of play, and Ramos will get there above Neymar. R9 with a little flick down here, and Ronaldo's in. He can finish this off, but no! The crossbar denies him. 2 chances that XLevVinken's had. He hasn't been able to take it. That could have been it. That could have been the game. I don't see Tore coming back from 2 goals, but it's still just a single solitary goal between the two.
So close between both of these two players, and the one goal now is absolutely something that is available for Tore, and Tore is now going to be making these changes. He's going to be bringing everyone onto the pitch to try and make this impact, to try.
علاوي بيصيح
30 minutes left on the clock here.
طول النهار يصيح على تويتش.
Brazilian needs it, and he needs it now. If he wants to send this game to
لا علاوي لعيب. انا بالنسبه لي انا لا انا ما بلعبش اونلاين، بقالي فتره ما بلعبش اونلاين، يعني اقول بقالي كام سنه، بقالي سنتين بلعب عادي. بس ان شاء الله من السنه الجايه هلعب Ultimate Team تاني.
We're about to get back underway here. Nothing but focus on the face of XLevVinken.
We've seen XLevVinken grind out results like this throughout the season, throughout this tournament, to be honest. However, maybe hasn't faced competitors like Ajax Tore, who has found himself in these positions before, and we have seen him come back in these scenarios too.
يا ريت بس هم يوافقوا، يعني مصر لحد دلوقتي مش مؤهلة. أنا كم عمري؟ أنا 23.
Marcuso is currently 2-1 up over Nicholas. And not only that, Diego is 4-3 up over Tex. Joxan is still up 4-2. And Maestro is still down 3-2. So all of our favorites, they are struggling right now and they need goals. So we see a strike come in there.
So every one of our 4 zeros from Swiss.
Who would have said that?
هقول لك ليه غير مؤهلة.
Currently losing. Well,
هو مش رسمي بس أنا هقول لك إحنا كمصريين لما بنيجي نلعب على سيرفرات أوروبا، والمفروض إن إحنا تبع ريست اوف ذا وورلد مش تبع أوروبا. لو إحنا لعبنا تبع السيرفرات بتاعت آسيا مثلا اللي هي السعوديين بيلعبوا عليها، البنج هيبقى عندنا وحش، فبنضطر نلعب على اوروبا اللي هي اصلا مش السيرفرات بتاعتنا. فهم بقى بيريحوا دماغهم خالص ويقولوا لنا انتوا ما تشاركوش وريحونا وما توجعوش قلبنا. حتى ساعات بتبقى سيرفرات اوروبا بيبقى فيها تاخير. يعني اخر مره كان مصر مؤهله ان هي تتاهل تقريبا قبل الفوت شامبيونز. افضل جزء بالنسبه لي اقول لك افضل جزء هقول لك ان افضل جزء بالنسبه لي ممكن فيفا 2002 عشان كنت بحب العبها كتير وانا صغير، ويمكن لما كبرت كان ممكن 2011. بص هو عموما يعني عشان احنا قريبين من اوروبا احنا بنلعب على سيرفر اوروبا، ما بنلعبش على سيرفرات تانية. بس في طريقه كده بتقول لك ايه لما بتخش على البرو كلوبز هتعرف السيرفر اللي انت بتلعب عليه. كان علاوي نزلها مره تقريبا السنه اللي فاتت. خش عنده في القناه هتلاقيه هو حاططها.
Back underway here then. XLevVinken on the attack and Mbappe. We're face to face with Ronaldinho and Maldini will step in. Neymar gets it back. Chance for Pele! And that might be it. That might be the ticket to the round of 16 booked for XLevVinken. That's the goal he needed, and I can't see this man on your screen coming back from 2.
And I'm sure
XLevVinken would want to have to
better an Ajax player on his way to that round of 16, but he is also a man who just gets the job done. He will beat whatever is presented in front of him, and that is what he has exactly done here. And unless there is a massive turnaround, a sudden surgence of different FIFA ability from Tore, you'd have to imagine XLevVinken has done enough in this game.
اقول لك مثلا الفيفات اللي انا لعبتها في حياتي.
We haven't seen enough possession, we haven't seen enough attacking potential from either wing. But
لا يا عم مش ياباني يا عم ده برازيلي.
All of these players are the best of the best in the world. And they will always have that chance.
برازيلي مش ياباني.
Speaking of the best in the world, Dan, we're actually going to change